Hi, my name is Gerhard Schwantner, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live program. We have our special guest, Merrick Rosenberg, here in the studio, and he's the CEO of TakeFlightLearning. Merrick, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about the four birds that have ruled your life over the last 30 years.
Well, we've used disc styles for a long time, but honestly, we found that we would go back into a company 6 weeks or 6 months later, and they're like, "Which one is the D again?" I'm like, "You're killing me. We've spent a day together. How do you not know it?" And we just wanted something visual, something fun, something sticky that people remember. And we swapped out DISC, swapped in eagle, parrot, dove, and owl.
That's awesome. You have written a book. You're writing a second book. What is the first book about?
I've written many books, and the very first book I wrote was Taking Flight, and that introduced the eagles, parrots, doves, and owls in kind of a fun way.
Right.
The eagle, confident, direct, assertive, take charge. Parrots, they're fun, they're social, they're optimistic, they're talkative. The doves, caring, compassionate, they just want everyone to get along. And the owl, logical, analytical, detail oriented. If they're going to do something, they're going to do it right. And Taking Flight introduced the birds through, it was like writing a movie with this long story arc. You got to see the birds in action, interacting with each other. And then the next book is The Chameleon. And if Taking Flight was like writing a movie, The Chameleon was like writing a full season, 22 episodes of a sitcom. Each episode teaches a different lesson of the styles.
And you have also created a movie, Bird Brains.
That is true. We really brought the birds to life, added some music, created a movie. And in fact, it's won 23 Film Festival awards, which is just amazing. People get to actually watch the birds in action.
And now you're working on a book that is at a much higher level. Tell us about it.
This is Personality Intelligence, Master the Art of Being You for your sake and everyone else's. And it takes the four styles and it creates four levels of development, from this unevolved state to the average typical state we most of us live in, to the master state. What would you be like if you mastered your style? But there's a fourth state, which is the chameleon. What if you master all four styles?
Wow, that's it. That is a tall order. And by the way, the reason we are having this conversation on LinkedIn is to invite you to a webinar we both are doing, where you explain your secrets on helping salespeople transform into that chameleon personality that they really need in order to sell to every style.
Yeah, everybody at some point has probably learned the disc model or colors or some assessment. But the question is, are you really using it every day? Do you infuse the styles literally into every aspect of the sales process? And we're going to talk about that. How do you use what you're doing, what you know, and then add in this extra component of style to take it to the next level?
So, what is the initial reaction of salespeople when they go through your training when they discover their style?
I'll tell you the reaction before they show up. They say, "Oh, I know this already. I've done this before." And then afterwards, they're like, "Okay, now I get it." We had worked with some folks at NBC, and I thought this was a great reaction. They said to me, "We thought we previously knew the styles, and they were in black and white. Now they're in color." And it's this surprise of the realization of just how often they can be using style, but they didn't quite know how to incorporate the styles into every stage of the process, but also to understand your own style so you don't impose it on your customer.
Right. So, how challenging is it for salespeople to adapt to the customer style?
I, if you are someone who wants to make a difference and wants to take your sales to the next level, you have to be able to not only understand yourself, you have to be able to read people, and you have to be able to be flexible and adaptable. And if you are open to looking at how you are treating your customer, it's not hard at all. Imagine an eagle walks into a sales call. They're driving there, and the whole way there, they're like, "I'm closing this deal. By the time I get there or leave that place, it is going to be a done deal." And they walk in and they're like, "All right, I'm closing the deal." And they're met by someone who says, Hi, how are you? It's so nice to meet you. Would you like some tea or coffee? Why don't I take you around? I'll take you on a tour of the facility. I'll introduce you to the team. I'd love to hear about you, learn about your life story. You can't kick into ego mode. If you want to close that deal, you've just walked into that place and you've met a dove. If you want to close that deal, you better build some rapport. You better build the connection and the relationship. And once salespeople realize this is not just about flexing and adapting because it's a nice to do, this is a have to do. If you connect with people, you connect with a dove, you close the sale. And once people realize that's the impact, it's the ability to flex and adapt is just there.
How much practice does it take for that adaptation to stick?
Here's the interesting thing. It doesn't take a lot of practice. When they leave a session, once they learn it, they're able to do it instantly. What does take work is for it to become comfortable and natural. And look, I always tell sales folks, I always say, look, if you are selling someone and their style is different from yours, one of you is going to leave that interaction exhausted, and it better be you. Someone's going to have to flex. You don't want it to be the customer. Learning how to flex and adapt is the easy part. Getting to a space where it feels natural, that's what takes time.
So when you're zooming back to your new book where you explain the 4 levels of proficiency and explain the first level. The first level is being unaware.
Yeah, at this unevolved state, imagine an eagle in the unevolved state. They're competitive, they want to win, but maybe they're a child and at this unevolved state of the eagle, level 1, they're about to lose a game of Monopoly. And what do? They quit and say, oh, I don't want to play anymore because they can't handle losing. At an average state at level 2, they realize, look, you can't win them all. You want to win and you want to close every deal, but you understand you just can't. And maybe you get a little upset about it and it's frustrating. But at level 3, at the master state, you recognize, yes, I want to win, but you can't always win, and that's okay. And they don't have a loud internal critic that criticizes them when they can't close the deal. They become flexible and adaptable, and they master their style. So to be able to move from this average state to the master state is really where you take your style to the next level.
So when you look at sales organizations across the country, how percentage-wise, how many salespeople are at that master state?
I would say the overwhelming majority are people in the average state. They use your style, they use it well. Sometimes it works for them, sometimes they work against them. It works against them. Maybe 10, 15% in that top sphere. And this doesn't relate to are you setting sales goals and meeting your sales goals. This is about mastering who you are, that you exceed any reasonable expectation of what you think can be achieved because you've just gone beyond this level of self-perception to this place of, I understand myself so deeply, I understand others, and I'm using my style well.
So what does it take to get to the next level beyond the master level?
There is a 4th level, and it is the chameleon state. So if we talk about you've got to master the eagle, that's your own style, great. You've mastered your style. Level 3, nailed it. At level 4, you've not only mastered your own style, but you've mastered all 4. Now you've mastered the eagle, the parrot, the dove, and the owl. And imagine being at that space where you can literally display the exact behavior in the moment. It doesn't draw energy. It becomes natural and it's authentic. It becomes this place where you can be the best version of yourself while authentically adapting to any style in the moment.
What is your style?
So I'm parrot, secondary eagle style, but we've talked about adaptability. I clearly have moments in my life where I need to be an owl or a dove. My wife is an owl dove, so I absolutely need to dial that up every now and then. But you've got to understand your style. You're not just one. You're a combination of all of them to a varying degree.
So how do you shift to that dove level in different situations?
I think a lot of times people think that I'm becoming someone else or I'm acting like someone else, but
Right.
it's really not. It's activating that part of you that already exists. It's like an actor on a stage. If you have someone in real life, they're an eagle, but they have to be the parrot. Well, they're not pretending to be the parrot. They're finding that parrot inside of them. There are moments in their life where they've had big energy and they're social and they're talkative, they're enthusiastic and optimistic. They just have to find that space and bring it out in the world. And when you can find each of these parts of you and activate them, it's authentic. It's not like you're being someone else. You're being you while tapping into a more latent part of you that isn't accessed as often.
I think that's fascinating. Is there any particular activating event in people's development where they make a decision to be either an eagle or a parrot or a chameleon or a dove?
There's clearly hardwiring. So right from the start, there is hardwiring that helps us to be who we are. There's no doubt about it. Anyone who has two children, I have two. I've got one who's a parrot. I've got one who's an owl. There was no changing that. They are who they are. But that realization of I need to be the chameleon happens for a lot of salespeople. And a lot of times they don't realize that they are losing the sale, not because of price, not because they found a different vendor that was different, a product they liked better, but because you just didn't connect with them from a style perspective. And there's often a moment where you have that realization of, you know what, I just can't sell doves, or I have a harder time with owls. And when you start learning how to flex and adapt and start closing those deals, you realize, yeah, I need to be the chameleon. That's level 4. I need to be that person who can flex and adapt and display any behavior.
So can you explain how eagles can become more like a chameleon?
So the most interesting thing about being the chameleon is being able to embrace the opposite of your style. So for an eagle, they are direct and they are assertive, but they also have to embrace that part of themselves that is more compassionate and more empathetic and more soft-spoken. And that's how they add balance. Take the parrot, who's enthusiastic and high energy, but they have to embrace that other side, which is the owl part of their style, where they focus and they have a plan and they have a process and they're not just going to wing it. They know what they're going to do and how they do it. And the reverse holds true as well. The doves need to embrace that part of that themselves where they stand in their power and they fight for what they believe in. The owls need to let go of systems and just be comfortable going for it. And so the way to get to that level 4 is to embrace the opposite and make that a part of who you are.
But what you're saying really is that we all have all 4 styles within us, and we all have that capacity to develop one or the other that is not as well developed to a higher level, like the actors that rehearse a script and then match the emotion to the script that comes from their own personal experience.
We all have all 4 brain quadrants,
Right.
and the styles parallel the 4 brain quadrants. In fact, having the ability to communicate in all 4 styles is an incredibly brain-friendly way to communicate. Imagine walking into a sales meeting and you've got a whole room full of people. You've been talking to that one person for months, but today's the day. You get walked into the boardroom and there's 8 people there. You've only met one of them. And the question is, whose style do you do the presentation in? Maybe you do it in your own style, which is very likely. We impose our style on others. Maybe you say, oh, I've been talking to this person. They're very much an owl. I'm going to provide an owl presentation. Or maybe you look at the CEO and you say, oh, that's the highest ranked person in the room. But that doesn't mean that just because they have positional power that they are the final decision maker. What I would do is say, how can you communicate to everyone in that room? Because you may have eagles, parrots, doves, and owls. And imagine walking into a sales meeting and I don't know everybody in that room. So I walk in and I say, all right, bottom line, here's what we can do for you. This is exciting. I'm so excited to be here. What a difference we're going to make in your world. We're going to be here for you. We're going to listen to you. We're going to ask you a lot of questions to understand what you need. And I can tell you, in the end, you're going to be very happy. So let me walk you through step by step and tell you exactly how we can make a difference in your world. We'll tell you about what we do and why we do it. Now, what did I do? I hit all 4.
Right.
If I have all 4 styles in that room, I just appealed to, who did I appeal to? Everyone.
I think it's very clever and very strategic. How can people learn more about your company?
If they go to TakeFlightLearning.com, they can learn all about the different training programs we offer, and they might want to specifically check out our Chameleon Selling Program. We offer Chameleon Selling training programs. We also certify trainers to deliver Chameleon Selling in-house, and we have profiles, participant guides, everything they would need to teach salespeople how to infuse the styles into the sales process.
So what you're saying is if there's anybody in the sales consulting business that can connect with you and become a certified instructor.
Absolutely. We have thousands of certified trainers all around the world, and they share the birds with organizations everywhere.
That's awesome. I also would recommend that you head over to Amazon.com and look for Merrick Rosenberg. He has several books that are noteworthy. I remember the first one when it came out, it made a sensation. It became a bestseller. And what you're working on right now is so intriguing to me because you're talking about the highest level of personal achievement where you master not only your own style, but everybody else's style.
Yeah.
Give me some examples of people that you know that have achieved that level.
Take somebody like Oprah. Look at this ability to be on stage and be the parrot and say, you got a car and you get a car. I mean, this is just big energy, but also the ability to manage the number of companies she owns. She doesn't have a company, she has an empire. There is a lot of eagle energy there. Also, as an interviewer, that is an owl skill set, asking questions, and she's very good at it. As a dove, she dials up the empathy. She cries with her guests. She is very philanthropic in her efforts to help people around the world. She can display the eagle, parrot, dove, owl. And look, there's a lot of talk show hosts. They're not worth a couple $1 billion. There's something about Oprah, and I will tell you, her secret sauce is her ability to be adaptable and flexible. Same is true for salespeople. The more flexible and adaptable they are, the more successful they are.
So speaking of adaptation, how are you going to adapt to the age of AI and what are your plans?
So AI is clearly here. We've been working with AI to the point where people can ask questions, even to ChatGPT, and ask a question. Take a letter that you have written. It's a sales letter, the thanks for the meeting letter. You probably use that same letter all the time. Feed it into ChatGPT, ask it to rewrite it for someone with the parrot personality, and it will do it. We have taught ChatGPT a little bit about the birds. So even at this beginning stage, it's a place where people can start to use AI to adapt how they communicate with others.
How many salespeople are actually using AI, in your opinion, at this stage to find out about the personality of the buyer?
I don't think it's very many. When we deliver our Chameleon Selling training and we tell them, go use something like ChatGPT, use it to rewrite letters so you speak in the language of the recipient. It's universally blows their mind. I could just feed a letter in and it will do that. I don't think sales folks are using AI to the degree that they can, and even 3 years from now that they will be.
I think it's brilliant. Do you think that 2 years from now, you are going to have an avatar for each one of those birds?
I think we are going to have an immersive world where people can maybe have conversations with the birds and talk to them.
Well, this has been an enlightening conversation. Is there a URL that you can share where people can watch the bird brain video?
Yes, if they go to birdbrainsinc.com, they can actually see the movie that we have created, where they can see the styles come to life.
Wonderful. And click on the link below that we are going to publish after we are done with this video interview, so you can sign up for our webinar. I want to thank you, Merrick. That was very enlightening, and I can't wait to do more videos with you.
I'm looking forward to the webinar.
Thank you.